Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to day number 3 of the distance learning. Little different day out there today, isn't it? Little cooler. Not sure if you were looking at the weather forecast or not, but we're expecting some white stuff in the forecast over the next 24 hours. So hopefully you've been out getting some sunshine, some fresh air. Time to hunker down again, I guess. My nose is just starting to heal up, so all right, so I'm going to read to you guys today, chapter 5. It's called Hideki, Blood and Iron. So here we go. Thum! Hideki flinched, but he didn't run away. He sat in the safety of a cave, watching through its entrance as American shells exploded over the next hill. He could feel the vibration deep inside the island's bedrock. Hideki and the other boys had made their way down to the beaches, intending to seek out the Americans. But the constant shelling from the ships in the harbor had driven them away, and they had sought shelter inside one of Okinawa's many natural caves. The rest of the boys were deeper inside, talking and laughing. Hideki would have joined them, but Yoshio was there, and it always paid to stay as far away from Yoshio as possible, even if that meant being closer to the American bombs. Hideki sucked on a piece of kappen, a tough, dried biscuit. He hated to already eat what little food the army had given him, but he was hungry. And besides, the Imperial Japanese Army was going to drive the Americans from the island in just a matter of days, weren't they? If everything went the way the IJA promised, the battle would be over soon. Then Hideki's mother and brother would come home from Japan, and his father and sister would come home from the front lines. The whole family would be together again. It had been almost 8 months since his mother and little brother, Isamu, went away, since Hideki too was supposed to go away. He still remembered that day as though he had a picture of it. The hot August sun, the narrow docks, the throngs of Okinawans pressing toward the big, black passenger ships waiting to take them north to mainland Japan. Hideki's mother carried Isamu in her arms, and Isamu clutched his little papier-mâché lion dog. Hideki followed behind with his father and his older sister, Kimiko. "You'll be safe in Japan. Yes, much safer than on Okinawa," Hideki's father said, as though he was trying to convince himself too. Oto was short, like Hideki, but stocky, with a mustache and a trim black beard. He stood next to Hideki's sister, who was already taller than both their mother and father. Kimiko was thin and elegant, with a white streak in her long black hair that had marked her since she was as little as Yata, a person who could see and speak to the dead. Oto and Kamika were there to say goodbye, not to go with them. Oto had already been drafted into the IJA to fight, and Kamiko had been taken from her school and pressed into service as a nurse in an army hospital. Hideki bugged his sister and his father, his heart aching. His family had never been apart before. He hated to leave them, but he hurried to join his mother and little brother so Kamiko and his father couldn't see his tears. He was almost on board the ship when someone grabbed him roughly by the arm. "Here, what's this?" demanded a scowling Japanese soldier. He held Hideki back. "Just where do you think you're going? And how old are you?" 13, Hideki said, surprised. "Almost 14. 14? 14 is old enough to fight," the soldier barked. Kimiko stepped between them. "Sir, you don't understand," she told the soldier. "Hideki's a scaredy cat. 350 years ago, one of our ancestors died like a coward, and now every third generation, the oldest boy, is born afraid. This time around, it's Hideki. Until our ancestor spirit finds peace, he's worthless in a fight." Hideki's face burned red with embarrassment, but everything his sister said was true. "Superstitious Dojin," the soldier muttered, and Hideki heard his father gasp. Dojin was a rude way of saying primitive natives. The soldier was basically calling them animals. Hideki's fists tightened around the sacks of clothes he carried. He was a coward, but it wasn't his fault. He was just born that way, and no amount of ceremonies and offerings to his ancestors had been able to free him from that. Maybe he thought it was time to try a more direct approach. Maybe it was time to override his ancestors' cowardice with his own bravery. Hideki stood tall. I'm going to stay, he announced. His father and sister protested, but there was no time, and they couldn't make him go. His mother and little brother were swept up the ramp by the surging crowds, and Hideki waved goodbye to them. The Japanese soldier nodded his approval at Hideki and went to harass someone else. Kamiko smacked Hideki on the back of the head. You idiot, she told him. Kamiko's rebuke echoed in Hideki's mind now as the shelling from the American battleships abruptly stopped. The silence was startling. There could only be one reason the Americans weren't shooting anymore, Hideki realized, because they were afraid of hitting their own soldiers, and that meant that there had to be Americans close by. The bushes outside the cave rustled, and Hideki's breath caught in his throat. He pulled one of his ceramic grenades from his jacket pocket, and he removed the rubber cap. He wished he had one of the real grenades, the kind where you just pulled a safety pin to activate it. He held the striking cap close to the fuse, his hands shaking. Who goes there? Hideki called, trying his best to hide his fear in his voice. People emerged from the bushes, and Hideki relaxed. It was an Okinawan family, an old woman, a mother with a baby in her arms, and a girl much younger than Hideki, who clung to her mother's dress. You must let us in, please, the mother said, trying to keep her voice down. There are Americans all around us. We can't let them capture us. She pulled her children closer, and the old woman's face was streaked with tears. Come on in then, hurry, Hideki told them. Yoshio and some of the other boys had noticed that the bombing had stopped, and they came to the mouth of the cave to see what was happening. As soon as he saw the Okinawan family trying to come inside, Yoshio blocked their way. Where do you think you're going? Yoshio said. You can't come in here. This is a military cave. Hideki wanted to argue. Wasn't it the army's job to protect the people of Okinawa? But he didn't want Yoshio to turn on him again. Go away, Yoshio told the family. Yeah, Hideki said, brandishing his grenade to show them that he meant business. This cave belongs to the Blood and Iron Student Corps. Go hide somewhere else. A strange noise came from the other side of the hill, a motorized rumbling like the sound of a bus. The women and the children heard it too, and they turned and they ran away screaming. Hideki's heart raced and his stomach twisted. Was this it for real? Had some of the Americans gotten past the beach? Was he finally going to have to fight? Hideki, go see what it is, Yoshio said. He shoved Hideki with both hands, and Hideki stumbled outside into the harsh daylight. Be brave like the kamikazes, Hideki reminded himself. Grenade in one hand, rubber striking cap in the other, he took a deep breath and he ducked into the bushes at the top of the hill. He crept forward until he could see over the ridge. The dirt path below him was lined with American vehicles. There were gray trucks filled with soldiers, enormous clanking green things with cannons on top and treads for wheels. Open-top jeeps pulling giant guns on trailers, and there were scores of them. They kept coming around the bend in the road, and they kept coming and coming. Hideki ducked deeper into the thicket, afraid they would see him. His hands shook. How was this possible? How had the American devils been able to get so many vehicles past the Japanese defenses? Hideki seen more automobiles on that road in 5 minutes than there had been in all of Okinawa before the war. Hideki's shaking fear crystallized into a hard knot in his stomach, and he knew what he had to do. He had to take one of those trucks with his grenade. This was his moment. This was his fate. He stood up, fully exposed if any of the soldiers in the trucks had bothered to look up at him, and got ready to strike the match-like fuse on his grenade. For the Emperor, Hideki told himself, for Japan, and for my family. Hands grabbed Hideki and pulled him back into the bushes before he could activate his grenade. Hideki turned around. It was Yoshio. "What are you doing?" Hideki cried. "The Americans. They're close by," Yoshio told him. "I know. The road down there is full of them." "No, you fathead. Closer than that," Yoshio said. One of the boys heard somebody crashing through the forest, and we're all going to attack. And that's it for Chapter 5. We'll end it there for today. Tune in again tomorrow. Hope everyone's having a great day, and we'll see you soon. Bye.